Yeah. And
Uh,
how do you say your last name?
my last name's Camaerei, which
Camaerei. Okay.
sounds nothing like it's spelled.
Yeah, yeah. So I was reading, I was didn't want to botch it. So
All
well, good to
good.
finally see you face to face, man. I've been like following your stuff on Facebook for a while.
Cool.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you reaching out to do this. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I just, you look like you're moving and shaking. My goal is to like try and find up and coming superstars. So I see some of the flips you did. They look really beautiful. And I think I connected with you first through like a mutual friend on Facebook, Zach. He does Harrisburg bookkeeping. And I think he mentioned you in a comment. He said, if you're looking to do some hard money lending, you can't go wrong with Alex. So I was like, oh, okay, let me research this guy and see what he's all about.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, Zach is he does the bookkeeping for our business.
Okay.
Um, he's been a godsend for us. He's just helped us get a lot more organized financially. So
Good, good.
very important component.
Yeah, excellent. So let's see. I just wanted to I know one of your posts that you posted recently, you said something about self-directed IRA for real estate investments, right? You hinted something about like how there's one level where people can give you hard money for the flips and stuff. But there's like taking it to a whole nother level where in a tax advantage account where, you can actually just get those double digit returns, but not have to pay any tax on that.
Yeah. So are we do you want to get into it now or we're gonna be
Well, yeah, yeah, we can talk about that later.
okay.
I guess we'll circle back to it. I kind of wanted to get your background, how you came to do what you're doing and all that. And so, yeah, yeah, tell, people watching about yourself and what do you do and how we got to today. And
Sure. Yeah. So I just turned 34 on Friday.
yeah,
uh
happy birthday, by the way.
thanks, man. Yeah, about halfway through my 30s almost. I'm loving it. But I've been in real estate since I was 20. I got my license when I was 23. Uh
Okay.
and got started when I was a junior in college at ESU.
Okay.
Basically, basically, I was at a point in my life where I decided I'm born and raised in the Pocono Mountains,
Okay.
and I had some things going on, some organizations I was involved with at the time, and it just made sense for me to stay local for college.
Okay.
Uh, Looking back, I'm not sure if I really needed to go to college, but it was just something that was of something my grandparents really pushed. They're from that generation coming back from World War II, where it was like,
Sure.
go to college, and I'm glad I did. Honestly, like I don't have any regrets about that. But basically, I was in there, and I was like, well, if I'm staying local, what are some like, what type of work or venture could I be in where I could stay local and you know make money? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
and decent money. And so I started looking into real estate,
Okay.
watched a couple. This was back in like 2013, 2014. So there was a lot of guys who were promoting wholesaling
Hmm.
at the time on YouTube, like Sean Terry's like one guy. He's still out there now, but I would like watch his videos and just kind of go for it, which might not be like the best advice, I could give someone.
Yeah.
I just that was just kind of how I'm wired. And I had a couple deals that I did, and it was pretty cool. Some of the easiest money that I ever made.
Okay.
Uh, but I then got linked up with an investor who was like, "Hey, I'll pay for you to get your real estate license. You can list all my properties." So I'm like, "Oh, well, why wouldn't I do that? I
Yeah.
go get a license and then just immediately start, I'll have listings." So long story short, I go through the course, and at the end of it, he goes, "Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to pay for the whole course. Here's $100." And the classes were like $600. I was flat broke at the time.
Yeah. This
So
is still in your 20s, right?
oh yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
just, like I said, I was just starting my junior year in college. And
Yeah.
I mean, I worked as another job, but I just barely made enough to kind of pay my car, pay some
Yeah.
bills, whatever. So I ended up coming up with the money to pay for the rest of the courses, and then he ended up not giving me one single listing after I went through all that. But I ended up just kind of getting more focused on the retail side. of
Okay.
business, and just as an agent, and basically was doing agent work straight through from 2014 until 2017. And then in 2017, I moved brokerages. I went to Keller Williams' office, and at the time, I was in a um, in a class they were offering that was basically a wealth building class. It was
Okay.
just a workshop on wealth building,
Sure.
and the instructor mentioned about leveraging private money to buy a property, and it was kind of like it was kind of like a light bulb went off for me
Hmm.
because I don't know if it was the first real estate transaction or maybe the second real estate transaction I was ever involved in. Um, I was helping someone who was going through a divorce situation buy
Okay.
a property, and the
Sure.
property was like $15,000, and the guy, because of his assets getting divided in the divorce, he had a buddy of his loan him the $15,000 to purchase the property.
Okay.
That's when I first got introduced to that concept, and during that transaction, because I was young, eager, um, I treated it like it was $1 million transaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I built up a pretty good rapport and relationship with the guy who lent him the $15,000. So that was in like 2014. And then fast forward 2017, I'm sitting in this class, instructors talking about private money. The light bulb went off. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I wonder if that same guy would, I had a good rapport with him. He had told me at the time that he was looking into like a self-directed IRA and he had different things going on.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if that guy would lend me money. Um, And by being in that class, it's one of those things when you're in an environment where you're learning, and it's about taking action on what you learn. Um, so I reached out to him after that class. I was like, "Hey, Tom, uh, would you be interested if I could find a property for X amount of dollars and it made sense for you? Would you be interested in, kind of holding a note for me and being like a bank for me to buy the
Mhm.
property?" And he said, "Sure." And so if I never asked, I never would have known if he
Yeah.
would. So I did that. That sort of got me into the world of number one, owning real estate. So I was able to buy a property using, I leveraged his funds and he got a monthly payment from me every month. And then it also introduced me to the concept of private lending. Uh, and that's just become something I've, really fallen in love with
Sure.
uh, today. So, and
And
I
that,
can go into how we were kind of working on scaling that. And
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. I want to get into that because one of your posts that struck out to me was the one where you said, big things are happening. It was you and your team of four at Easy Cash or Fast Cash.
easy
Easy
cash.
Cash deal. Yeah, yeah. So we can get into that. But so this was 2017 then that you kind of first had your aha moment where you're like, okay, I bring the skills, somebody else brings the money, and then we make the deal happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay. So, yeah, like take it from there. Then what happened after that?
Yeah. So, I got that loan from
Hmm.
this gentleman, and I purchased the property. And at the time, you could buy a property for, it wasn't even a lot. It was like $30,000, which is nuts. Like if those
Yeah.
were out there, I'd buy those on a credit card right now.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, he lent me 90% of that. So I had a loan with him for like I can't math that out right now. 10%, like
27,000. Yeah.
27,000. I pulled the other 3,000 out of the 401k I rolled over to IRA when I left my previous job.
Okay.
And then so I owned the property, and it was a whirlwind experience. Your first property, you think you're going to be like this benevolent, nice guy landlord, how you're going to change
Yeah.
the game and everyone's going to love you. All your tenants just going to love you.
Hmm.
So I kind of took like the soft approach and
I've
ended
been
up,
there, by the way. So,
yeah, right. That's like everyone starts with that motive, and then you're a year into it and you're like, listen, this is when the rent's due. This
yeah.
is, you know, um, but so I was that, and I got, it was good for a little bit, and then stopped receiving rent, couldn't get a hold of the tenant, found out from his girlfriend the guy got locked up, he was in jail. Um, I was cash flowing, but then it was like they just moved out in the middle of the night.
Oh, okay.
Um, I was left with a
Wow.
vacant property in a not so good area.
Okay. Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, it was tough. And like at the time I was had been doing real estate now for like 3 years. I didn't really have like a ton of money saved. Like I had some money to my name, and
Okay.
I was kind of like, consistently doing sales. So I was doing okay. Um, but now I have this empty property, and they left so much trash. It was just nasty.
Yeah.
So I started to panic. So I go to a friend of mine, and I'm like, hey man, like I'll sell this to you. I did the math, like with what I owed Tom, and with what I had put into the property.
Yeah.
I had a price worked up where I needed to sell it for like $38,000, and I could pay Tom back. I could get like maybe 5 grand to my name, and I was like good to walk away with that.
Yeah.
So I got a contract with my buddy, and he's like dragging his feet, like taking his sweet time. And so finally, I was like, "Hey man, like I just got to figure out another situation." So I was in my apartment at the time. I was living in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of like, you know, I'm like a faith guy. I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do with this? I'm praying. I'm like, how am I gonna work through this? And I just started thinking, um, what if I looked into getting like a personal loan from my credit union that I was using at the time? It's just like a spontaneous thought, just
Yeah.
like that. And so I reached out to them and went through the application process. And like 5 minutes later, they're like, "You're approved." And I'm like, "Okay." They're like, "We approved you for $10,000."
Well, that's
And
good.
yeah, so that was cool. And then like 24 hours later, I opened my bank account. There's $10,000 in there. So at the time, I didn't have many contractor contacts, but
Okay.
I had sold a house as a realtor to someone that was a contractor. So I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey man, here's my situation. Can you go look at this property and give me a quote?" He goes to the property for junk removal, repaint the whole place. Had to repaint the kitchen counter, the
Okay.
kitchen
Yeah.
cabinets, get some new appliances. He's like, "I could do all this." I'm like, "How much is it going to cost?" It'll be around $10,000. So I was like, okay, some divine intervention for me there. Uh,
Yeah.
and then and then I started looking at the comps, and the values had went up to about 60, 65,000. So
So
I
yeah,
was like,
at this point you have equity.
I have equity at this
Yep.
point. So I'm like, all right. So now I'm
And
like,
that's
all
the
right,
name of the game, right? So we
that's
want
it.
equity. So yeah.
That's it. That's your profit there. Um, so I was able to do the math, and it was kind of cool because like, I get the job done, get on the market, get under contract for 65, and it was set to close in November, but I got married. So this all happened in 2019 now, right?
Okay.
So
So we're
uh,
fast forwarding 2 years to
fast
2019.
forwarding 2 years of like having the crazy tenants,
Yeah.
doing the reno, getting it on the market, all that
Gotcha.
years. And the night that it went under contract to sell, I was walking out of my apartment that I was staying with my fiance at the time to go to
Yeah.
our to go to our rehearsal dinner for our wedding. So it's kind of like good news to walk out and get.
For sure, man.
But anyway, long story short, I ended up closing on that property a month later. Made about, after paying back the line of credit, I made about $19,000. Um,
And
you
that's
know,
so like now at this point, two light bulbs are going off. You're like, wow.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm like, wait a minute, leverage.
Yeah.
I borrowed from this guy to buy it. I borrowed from over here to renovate it, and I
Hmm.
made the money in between.
Yeah.
This is great. Um, so then it just kind of like it just started networking from there. Like the concept now was like, well, the first equation I did in my head when this happened was,
Hmm.
wow, this was a $65,000 piece of real estate, which now it's probably worth like 110. I probably should have
Sure.
held it for a
Yeah.
couple of years, but um, so this is a $65,000 piece of real estate, and I just made almost $20,000 transacting this deal.
Yeah.
I had been an agent on many transactions where the purchase price was between like 60 and $80,000, because in 2024, that's just what stuff was, or 2014,
Yeah.
sorry, that's what things were going for. This is, right after the recession, all
Oh
that.
no, I remember. I remember it well. Like I think I could have. at the time, like I was in the same boat as you, didn't really have like much to buy, but man, you could bought things so cheap then.
Oh no. I
So
always say if I had a time machine, I'd go back, I'd buy like 10 of these houses and I'd be
yeah,
set. But
you'd be set. So
yeah. But
it was, yeah, go on.
yeah, so then I'm like, well, I'd been an agent on those size transactions before, and my commission checks were like 1,200 bucks. So it's like,
This is like adding definitely a couple of zeros to that.
absolutely. So it's like, the money is definitely made on the owning,
Yeah.
not brokering, right? So that was another light bulb. And then from there, it was just kind of like, I had this money now, and my first thought when I get some money is what can I, how can I take what I just earned and leverage this for more growth,
Hmm.
right? So that
That's a very, by the way, typical entrepreneurial thinking, which is, it's just like, how do I keep growing this pile of cash?
absolutely, because the second you can't, you're out of business, right?
Yeah.
Like, so um that was my thought. And from there it was like, I just started looking now. Now it was like that, what do they call it? The reticular activator or something, where
Yeah.
you're
You're
now my
just honing
mind,
in like a missile.
absolutely, you're focused now, right? So now I'm looking for opportunities. And another one came, and I was able to connect with another lender, and then another deal kind of came, and it just started kind of snowballing from there. But I always think about the feeling I had in my gut when I opened the door of that first property and saw the mess it was in, and the level of panic that I felt within myself,
Yeah.
and the thought of how the heck am I going to do this? I cannot afford to renovate it. And I always look at like, what if I gave into that at
Hmm.
that time and just like sold it to my buddy, made my 5 grand? I
Yeah.
might not have ever invested in real estate again, because it just would have been like, oh my God, like I
This is too
barely got out of
much.
that alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas, you turned it around to your full advantage, where now it's like, forget five, you made 20, and then you just kind of started snowballing that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the origin story, I guess.
Okay, so this is 2019. So, how's things been going since then? Like, what are you up to lately? I see on your profile it says you're both, right? Like you do realtor work and you have the easy cash deal.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, basically, coming out of COVID, I took most of what I made doing my own flips. I caught some of the market at a good time. I wish I did more, but I caught COVID was actually a good time for real estate. Values just went bananas in my market because people are just fleeing
Mhm.
the more congested cities with all like the, mandates and
Yeah.
just concerns about being too close to people.
Yeah.
Um, so I basically, from 2019 to 2021, went from no units to 18 personally.
Okay.
Um, and
So
now
18 doors, right?
18
Like, or
doors.
okay, good.
Yeah, 18 doors. And then 2022, my future business partner, he approached me. We had connected because we were both part of the same brokerage at the time. I'm sorry, late 2021. Uh,
Okay.
we connected, and then we started our easy cash deal business
Okay.
in April of 2022.
Okay.
Um, we now have 22 doors under that business.
Excellent.
Um, and then I've since put my personal portfolio in with a management company.
Okay.
It's just balancing everything. I
Yeah.
try to stick to what I know I'm good at, which is networking, sales, and administrative stuff. I used to tell myself I was going to do it, and would
Yeah.
do it, and it's not my forte. I just really try to delegate what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
So
Very good. So you
yeah,
said your personal portfolio, you gave it to a property management company.
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
And so you're just focusing more on the flips, the rehabs, networking, sales.
Exactly. Yeah. So right now in our business, my partner, he is sort of the lead with the renovations. I um, have input as well, but he's sort of the main point of contact
Okay.
for um, for the contractors. Whereas my
Sure.
focus is talking directly with sellers that are interested in selling a property, and we figure out different ways that we can buy it. And then
Okay.
we both kind of deal with our network in terms of letting people know the value we can provide them as far as a lending opportunity.
Okay.
I would say I'm probably most passionate about that, about meeting with potential lending partners, building those relationships, getting to know
Sure.
them. That's really what I think gets
Yeah.
me fired up.
And that's why I wanted to just kind of have you on and chat with you because, a lot of people and my friends and family, I mean, they're on Facebook or, they're not, but, they have just sitting on cash and they're like, what do I do with it? And I mean, I try and explain to them, I mean, look, you always want to diversify. So stock market's good, real estate's good, but like this is a whole nother dimension to it, the hard money lending.
Yeah.
Especially some of the posts that Zach's been doing. I've been following that. And it's like, okay, look, your money's secured by real estate. You go through a title company. You can
Yep.
have a competent attorney draft the documents. So I mean, if you're doing your due diligence, you're holding first position. So, I mean, it's pretty guaranteed. It's a safe investment. And if it gets you double digit returns, so
There's a lot of value to it. I would
yeah,
say that we, I guess, competition actually I'm talking
yeah. Just can
about
you
it.
repeat that
It's
last part? I think you broke up there for a minute.
oh, I was saying that it's definitely a great investment vehicle for people that
Yeah,
are looking to diversify. Um, I think that I was just having a conversation actually on Friday. I was hanging out with one of our private lenders. I was up in New York for my birthday, and I met up with him, and we were just talking shop, and
sure.
um, we were, one of the things that makes it different than, because a lot of times people get approached to invest in a business or invest in a company, and it's, you're really not, that investment's really not secured by anything.
Mm-mm. No.
You just give somebody money to, let's say build you an e-commerce store, which is
Hmm.
something I personally went through, or you just give them money to like venture capital or something. Um, you know, there's obviously the potential that the person you're investing in could knock it out of the park, the thing blows up and you get these amazing returns. If you really believe in the operator of that business, you can have, you're likely to have some success. But ultimately, if that business fails, there's nothing that you can do. There's no recourse on your money,
No,
right?
exactly.
Unless you're like defrauded or something, and then there might be some, court actions you can take. But for the most part, you're really at the mercy of the operator of the business. Um, what is unique about private lending is that your money is collateralized by a piece of real estate, like you just said, and it's collateralized on a piece of value add real estate. You know, so for the most part, a lender is lending at, 70-80% of value after repair value for the most
Hmm.
part.
Yes.
Um, so like, and we've never had a default, right? I want
Yeah.
to that we've never had a default, but I always tell people, because we have a professional like note and mortgage that was drafted by our attorney that gets signed and notarized at closing, gets filed at courthouse. But I tell people, like, I'm going to go over this document. We've never had a default, but the purpose of a contract is not of that agreement is not to account for best case scenarios, just to go over kind of what could happen in a worst case scenario. And, you know, at the end of the day, let's say something were to go south or, something were to happen to us, God forbid, like you have recourse, and that's unique to, being a private lender. You can take back a piece of value add property. You can add the rest of the value to it and you can make all the profit on it. So there's that piece. There's also just the piece of like, there's so many creative ways that people can get into private lending without even utilizing their own money. And Zach mentions this a lot too, like utilizing HELOCs.
Yeah.
Uh, most private lending is going to be at 12%, somewhere between
Hmm.
11 and 12%. We like to do 12% because we like to say, we're offering 1% per month.
Yeah.
Um, most HELOCs right now are at 9%.
Sure.
And so there's a spread there. You can leverage, other people's
Yeah.
money to lend it out.
Yeah.
That's in a high interest rate environment, right? I mean,
Hmm.
hopefully we're heading towards rates coming down a little bit.
Yeah.
There'll even be more of a spread for you to
Sure.
make.
So yeah, let me play the other side, right? Like the skeptical investor. Like, say if I'm asking these questions on behalf of the investors I would represent, or something. Like, say, so what
Yeah.
happens in a high interest rate environment or low interest rate environment? Does the spread get stay the same, or is it still 12%?
So it's really I can only answer it from our business because how other companies would do it
Hmm.
is really at their discretion. We look at it, we've been offering between 11 and 12% for about 3 years now. So even like predating the rate market we're in now.
Okay.
Um, Ultimately, it's really comes down to what the numbers look like on the back end um, when we're analyzing the deal. If there's a margin in there where it still make it still makes sense for all parties, and there's we've never gone below 11%. So
Yeah.
um, I wouldn't say that you know it would just change simply because
Yeah.
the numbers went down.
So
Um,
just for reference, what was payout like in, say, 2019 or 2018, something like that, before, just say a year or two before COVID?
so I didn't do any flip loans then. I know on my rate that I had with the gentleman who lent me that money for my first deal, I
Hmm.
had a 9% interest
Okay.
rate um with a 5-year balloon.
Okay.
Um and I have had a couple other lenders I've worked with on more of those smaller dollar amounts in that same range. I have another one out for about $40,000 right now that's going to be paid off the end of this week with a refinance I'm doing.
Okay.
Um, and that one was also at 9% with a 3-year balloon, which is up next year.
Okay.
Um, Larger dollar amounts though, like anything over 100,000, we've done 12%.
Sure.
Um, there there is one lender that leverages a line of credit that we pay 13 because his line of credit rate went up. So we did adjust up so that the spread would still make sense.
Sure.
Uh, what I started to mention before is that one of the main, uh, I guess, alternative to private lending vehicles I'm hearing some of our lenders mention they're using now that's kind of keeping them on the sidelines from lending is money market accounts
Sure.
because they're sitting right now at 5%,
Hmm.
which historically they're not usually nearly that high. It's just simply because of the rate market we're in.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's why we upped ours to 12% with this, and what we do is a 12% with a 6-month guarantee because we want to incentivize somebody to consider our investment vehicle over an alternative. But
Sure.
also the reason we offer that is we do that in lieu of monthly payments. So we'll tell
Okay.
somebody, hey, we won't give you monthly payments. I mean, we do monthly payments with some lenders as well, but we prefer this model. The lender gets more money because if I turn a property in 3 months, that's 3 monthly payments. It's fine.
Hmm.
But if you say, okay, I don't need monthly payments, give me deferred interest, we'll guarantee 6 months. So basically, you're getting guaranteed 6%,
I see. Okay.
right? Which
Regardless of how quickly the flip happens.
exactly.
Okay.
So if we turn a property in 3 months, you get paid 6-month interest. If we turn
Yeah.
it in 4 months, 6-month interest. If we turn it in 7 months, you get 7-month interest. 8 months, 8-month interest. We add
Okay.
a if it goes beyond the 6 months. We'll add a
Sure. Sure.
to it.
It makes sense. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to think this through from the other side, which is there's no incentive for you to drag your feet, because the sooner you close on the property, the sooner get your profit out of it. So,
Yeah. 100%. I mean, yeah, uh, we don't like sitting on properties,
yeah.
you know, but
So walk me through, like, say I'm explaining this to my friends and family at the high level. We talked about the money that's being lent to securitize a flip or a rehab, right? So at the operational level, can you walk me through how does it happen? Like, how do you go about sourcing the deal, doing the work, the time frame? your average, like time frame for everything. So
Sure. So we have a variety of marketing channels we find deals through.
okay,
We network a lot with other wholesalers
okay,
uh, and deals. We have also good relationships with agents that are in the market who they've just identified that like, hey, we're because we're agents as well, so we have good connections there. And agents come across properties where they're dealing with the seller that doesn't want to go through all the work involved in um, listing a house, having people
yeah,
walk through. And we do some of our own direct to seller marketing, like direct mail and things like that.
okay,
Um, we once we get someone on the phone and kind of determine like if they're going to be a good fit, um, we'll take them through a series of questions about the condition of the property and get a sense of what level of rehab we're looking at. We
okay,
have our own numbers that we use to sort of we kind of know roughly what a light rehab goes for, what a medium rehab goes for, what heavy rehab goes for. We try to stay away from heavy rehabs because light and medium ones we can move through within like 30 days to 90 days.
sure.
Heavy
What?
rehabs get into like 6 months, 7 months long and just become a
Okay.
headache.
So for like just for example purposes, what's a light rehab? What's a medium? What's like a heavy rehab?
So light rehab would be like, carpet paint, light fixtures,
Okay.
something like that. Updating, those things. Medium rehab, you're getting into, probably those that I just mentioned, plus a kitchen, or plus like, popping new vanities in the
Mhm.
bathrooms and, maybe, replacing a couple windows or something like that.
Okay.
Um, and maybe a roof, depending on if those other things added up to more than you
Sure.
anticipated. Heavy rehabs, you're reconfiguring the floor plan, you're fixing flooding issues, new roof definitely, all new windows, siding. You're pretty much updating everything in the house.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um, that's how we would define it, right?
So it's
We
more
try to stay.
by so it's more based on like the just the sheer number of things you have to do, not necessarily dollar amount.
Well, at the end of the day, it's the dollar amount. Those,
Sure, sure.
the things that we mentioned, you know, they uh they equate to dollar amounts. So,
Yeah.
um, the light rehabs probably anywhere from like in our market, 20 to 30,000. I mean, it's hard to
Okay.
get in and out of the house for less than 30,000 these days.
Even with
Uh,
like a light rehab.
Even on a light rehab, man, until you
Okay.
paint and floors, a lot of times you're at 10 to 15,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds
Um,
about right. It's kind of like that here too in the Harrisburg area.
yeah. So,
And this is in the Pocono Mountain areas, right?
yeah, Pocono
Okay.
Mountain and Lehigh Valley.
Okay. All right. And then go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. And then medium rehabs, you're in like that 40 to 60 range, most likely. And then heavy rehabs, typically like, 80 to 100 plus.
Okay.
Uh, so, that's kind of the ranges we see. I
Sure.
used to be able to get in and out of an entire house that needed heavy rehab for like $70,000 pre-COVID.
Okay.
Um, now it's hard to get through a project that needs a kitchen, bathrooms,
Yeah.
flooring, paint, light fixtures for less than like 45, 55. it's
Wow.
it's wild. Yeah.
So like what do you think what are you guys spending on average for like a kitchen remodel? If you go into a house.
Probably between 10 to 12,000.
Okay.
I mean,
Gotcha.
the cabinets usually run around 4 to 5.
Okay.
Granite is, depending on the size of kitchen, you're probably looking 15 to 2,000.
Okay.
Then you got your backsplash is usually somewhere between like 600 to 1,000.
Gotcha.
Um, handles on doors are
Hmm.
priced. It just, yeah, probably we could probably get in and out of a decent kitchen. Appliance packages, you're usually at like 1,500 to 2,200, somewhere in there. So, you add it up and it's not
Yeah.
hard to spend 10,
Yeah,
15
yeah.
dollars.
Do you find the cost to be split pretty evenly between labor and materials, or is it more materials than labor?
a good question. I think it's probably even. I mean, the price of materials has gone up, but so has the price of labor because a lot of people are short staff.
Hmm.
So they're having to hire more
Yeah.
to pay more to hire people.
Yeah.
Um, and that trickles down to the customer every time, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and we like to use a GC model. We have a few trusted GCs that we work with who, get us just get the job done, and that way we don't get bogged down in each project. Some stuff we do still will run the job and sub out if it's more of a lighter turnaround, or if the rest of our guys are already on other projects. Um,
Gotcha.
so
Okay, so maybe this can tie back into your origin story a little bit. How did you put the team together to do all the work? I know you said you for a lot of them you used the GC model, but just
yeah, to be honest, just making connections, and the biggest thing is knowing when you don't want to push anyone past their capabilities
hmm.
in this business. Uh,
Yes.
some of the biggest mistakes I've made is taking someone who is a good, solid, you know,
Like a
B.
small job handyman type thing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I I I like ranking things like ABC.
Hmm.
Uh, Someone who's a good, solid, like maybe C plus, B minus,
Yeah.
and putting A expectations on them.
Sure. Yeah. I
It's a
mean,
recipe
I've
for
made that
disaster.
mistake too, so you're not alone, by the way. So
It's one of the most more expensive ones that I've learned.
yeah.
And I mean that mistake you can get through, and then I've had ones where I've taken F's and thought they were A's.
Yeah.
And those are the really expensive ones that you just kind of pay to learn. But it really I lucked out on a couple guys that actually I got connected with because I was representing people that were using them as clients as
Okay.
their contractor. And I was like, hey, I like the work you do. Would you mind looking at this project and this project and this
Yeah.
project? And it kind of worked out. But
Yeah. But then, I mean, that's like a testament to your system or machine that you put in place. If you're able to pay pretty much top dollar rate, market rate for, the work, materials, and then still able to eke out a profit. So that's pretty impressive.
yeah, it is getting a little bit more difficult. I'm hoping that, uh inflation numbers change and maybe the price of some materials and stuff goes down, or
Okay.
more, it'll help. But it has its benefits, it has its drawbacks. I'm sure that if I hired out, sorry, my phone keeps going off. I'm sure that
It's
if we
okay.
got to nitty gritty and subbed out every single component of the house, and there's a way you can do it to do things like cheap as possible. But the thing is like we're going for scale. We're not going for like be hyper focused on one flip every 6 months,
Hmm.
right? So when you go with scale, you have to find people you can partner with who you can leverage.
Hmm.
You know, it's scaling is all about leverage, and you can't leverage with, you know, people that bring too much drama in, or there's always
Yeah.
like they're not prioritizing you. And you have to be able to you can only really leverage with people that you don't have to babysit, and
That's a
so
good point.
the more
Yeah.
the more I have to babysit, the quicker you get kind of moved out of our rotation. Um, I want to hear from you when um, the initial price is negotiated. When you get through, phase one, and then phase two, phase three of the project, and then we do a final walkthrough and you get your final payment. Um, that's the line of communication I like to have, because we have to stay focused on the bigger picture activities.
Hmm.
If I'm hyper focused on controlling every single aspect of it, I'm not out finding the next deal. And part of building a team is like the people leading have to always be on the hunt for to move the ball up the
Yeah.
court. Um, that's just my perspective on it.
No, I think a lot of people would share that. That's kind of like. So how many flips are you guys doing per year right now?
So I don't have it right in front of me. I know we of pure flips, we're probably doing we're going to end up probably close to 40 this year.
Wow.
Um, we have 9 that are under construction right now.
Okay.
Uh, we're actually pausing right now on buying more flips because um we just want to work through the ones that we have, and we're going to be picking up our wholesaling activity, and more probably rental purchases
Sure.
um right
I
now
mean, I
because we're
guess you gotta put those money to somewhere unless you want to pay tax on it. So
oh yeah, rentals is a huge part of
yeah.
you know I
Yeah.
won't say
Okay.
tax avoidance,
So
but
did that just blow up for you this year, like 40 flips, or did it just gradually build up? Like so it was last year, like same?
no, last year we did I think we did about maybe 18 or so last year. Uh,
Okay.
and then we've just gotten way more purposeful about, systems and getting we've been more aggressive this year with filtering out people that just don't fit our culture anymore.
Okay.
And I think that's allowing us to kind of move swifter. I mean, when you first get into this business, you have like like way more of emotional attachment to like your vendors and stuff, and you have they're the first people you've ever done business with, and you want to. But as you start growing, you quickly find these pressure points where it's like, okay, I like you, man. Like we had a good run, but um, you know, where we're going, I don't see how you can do like how you're going to be able to function in the same capacity that we had you in before. That doesn't mean we cut people off, but it's like if you have somebody that is, good at doing one at a time, one house at a time, and it takes them 4 months. If I'm now trying to do 3 at a time, I can't have each one of those take me 4 months. So maybe now you're not my guy who does a whole
Yeah.
house renovation for me because I need speed now, I need
Mhm.
scale now. But maybe you're a guy that when I have a vacancy at one of my apartments, I can have you go in there and update the light fixtures,
Yeah, exactly.
toilet, like those kind of adjustments we
Yeah.
we try to make. That comes into like leadership, comes back to leadership and having those conversations. Sometimes guys don't like hearing those conversations because they still want to be the guy doing your flips, but they don't understand you're just not moving at that same speed that you were
Mhm.
previously. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just really it's like being a manager in baseball. You got to like slot the right guy at the right lineup, the right spot in the lineup. You know.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So you're saying you're leaning a little bit more towards wholesaling as well, and on top of the flips? Are you guys changing your business model a little bit, or?
I mean, we've been running last year we were probably 80% flip, 20% wholesale.
Okay.
This year we're probably more of like a 60-40 with
Okay.
flip to wholesale. But right now we just we got a good amount of projects going and we want to see those through, refine our systems and processes on how we can streamline the flipping process. So we'll wind those down, get those on the market, get them under contract and sold. And then we'll start in the meantime though, we're going to pick up our wholesaling activity because that really impacts the velocity. It impacts our cash cycles, right?
Sure. So is
Um,
wholesaling more profitable than flipping?
yeah, I mean, well, it's we don't have so we have marketing expense with flipping, obviously.
Sure.
Um, we have basically like a 4x return on our marketing spend. So I got to spend for every dollar we spend, we make $4. Um,
This
so
is
it's
on the flips, right?
this is on the wholesaling stuff.
This is on the wholesaling. Okay.
Yeah. So it's more profitable in the sense it's yeah, I mean it probably is, I guess.
Okay.
It's obviously less risk, but the biggest thing with it is it's less waiting time in between getting paid, and in between generating revenue. We can get something under contract, and if it's a good deal, we're going to get that revenue in our account inside of 30 days. You
Sure.
know,
Okay.
so that's why we diversify, because if you have all of your whole business is towards flipping, you know,
Hmm.
a flip to me is really hard to turn inside of 3 months. Um, and so you can't have all of your revenue 3 months out, 3 months out, 3 months
Hmm.
out, especially when you start building a team and a company.
Yeah.
People have to eat, on a biweekly basis. So
There's payroll. Sure.
there's payroll, you gotta, so wholesaling allows us to bring in money quicker while we're waiting for our projects to close, hit the market. And so the flips are they're bigger revenue dominoes that fall. They just take a little longer. The
Sure.
wholesales are like our base hits, you
Okay.
know, and, the flips are either triples or home runs.
Got you. So there's
Uh,
just more dollar amount in a flip than a wholesaling, but it's, the velocity of money is not there. It's a lot slower.
exactly. So having the combination of the two, it's good. Like, so we just had a flip fall apart this week. A transaction on a flip just fall apart this week. It was literally last night.
Okay.
Spending my Sunday evening in bed reading an email that just had me completely furious. And that was a domino that we were expecting to fall this week. So that kind of holds up like some a good chunk of revenue that we were anticipating coming in. However, Wednesday we have a wholesale deal closing with a $30,000 margin, and we have another one scheduled for the end of the week for a $10,000 margin that will help us, recapitalize
Yeah,
our business while we're waiting for that to sort of get resolved, go back under contract, and ultimately sell again.
that
So
makes
if we
sense.
have a wholesale business, that deal falling apart could really wipe our, have a bit, not wipe us out. I mean, we
No,
have
no,
a,
I know. Yeah,
but that'd be it's a tough pill to swallow now. It'd be a tougher pill to swallow if we didn't have other revenue generation activities going on.
sure. So what's like your average profit on a flip and your average profit on a wholesaling?
We like to get a minimum of 30K on our flips.
Okay.
We feel like that's a margin where we can withstand a lot of crap that comes up and market
Anything
correct.
unexpected that comes up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd have to be $30,000 off till we hit a break even point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Gotcha.
you know what I mean? So we feel like that's like a safe number. Uh,
Gotcha. Is there a price point that you target for your flips? Like say ARV of like, I don't know, like two, 300,000 or lower than that or anything like that?
Yeah, we try to stick with where the market's popular. We don't do
Okay.
luxury flips. We don't do high end stuff because you're just dealing with a smaller buyer pool.
Sure.
So we try to stay like where the average price point is for our market.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
And like, what is that? Like, what does that look like number wise?
Between like 250 to 350.
Okay. So it's like what, a three bed, two bath, something like that, four
Yeah,
bedroom.
3 to 4 bed,
Okay.
2 to 3 bath type of deal.
Got you. So then you said what, 30 on the flip and about 10 on the wholesaling. That's what you guys aim for.
Yeah, I mean, it depends like what else we have going on. I mean, some of them will end up with like an 8K you know, margin on it. And then, maybe, every we don't get them often, but every now and then we'll get like a bigger assignment on something just because the numbers just pencil it out like
Yeah.
that. But I'd say we probably average around 11,
Yeah.
12 on an assignment.
Excellent. Yeah. And so how many, like, you have a team of four, correct? Right now? For
So I have a
easy.
team of I have a team of 5.
Okay.
So yeah, I have a myself, my partner, we have an operations coordinator. She keeps us on track. That was a recent hire we made. Today is actually 2 months she's been with us.
Okay.
She handles our transaction coordination, our property management, and we're getting her more involved on the project management
Okay.
side.
Yeah.
And then we have what we call a follow-up specialist that kind of goes through our database every day and tries to find us new leads.
Sure.
And then we have a VA who's based in the Philippines that she's our marketing director. So
Okay. So she handles your outbound marketing and all that stuff.
you have outbound marketing and administrative.
Excellent. Yeah. It's I mean, it seems like you have a good team in place.
Yeah, no, everyone is good. I feel like we're building a good culture. We're very big on mindset and you know, just staying focused and dreaming big and
Yeah.
everybody working together. So that's something that I feel like everyone's bought in with. Every day we share what we're grateful for. We have meetings every day to kind of stay on track with everything, and I think we have a good team.
Yeah. So what does like 3, 5 years out look like for you? What's like the long-term vision for Alex?
For me personally, I would like to be, I just turned 34. Um, by the time I'm 40, I would like to really be, I'm always going to work. Like I'm not the
Yeah.
type I'm going to like retire, but I'd really like to be technically retired by the time I'm 40. Um, at the level of which I would be happy with that, with doing that. And basically, I think being in a position where um I've, along with my partner, we've built a company that has an amazing culture where I have people sitting in the seats that I'm in now, that we're in now, and doing it better than I ever could. And I have a role of um, coaching, mentoring, um, and building up, what we have, and just continuing to grow it from like an eagle eye, pers- excuse me, an eagle eye perspective, and being in the room with people that have done the same, you know.
Sure. That's a good vision. That's a good vision. I think I like the fact that you guys are doing so much volume because then, it's like if there's money to be invested, then there's always some place to put it with, Easy Cash Deal and Alex and his team. I think, somebody who's sitting on a lot of cash, what they don't want to do is like, go hunting for deals one at a time. So if like
Mhm.
in essence, you just kind of become like, the Walmart or Costco for people who are looking to put their money. You're just like, oh yeah, we got 40 flips this year, or hopefully it's more next year. And
Yeah, and honestly, that's why like my biggest passion is I'm the operations guy. My brain is just wired towards like what's the easiest way we can get from point A to point B, the most efficient way, not necessarily easiest, most efficient way. Because I want to build our company to a place where it is a very, I mean, and I feel like we are now, but even just more systematized so that someone would feel comfortable like, oh, I know if I invest in this company,
Mhm.
they're going to produce a result for me,
Yeah,
because we take this seriously. We show up every single day. We have a team behind us. We have Maria, who's our operations coordinator. When we onboard a new lender, they have direct access to her Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to call
yeah,
in any questions they have about any of the documentation.
yeah,
They can speak with her anytime. Like, we're here. We're a legit business. We're not just, it's not just me on my cell phone, like while I'm, working my part-time job trying to get you to invest in me.
yeah, yeah. Well, plus I think there's as Warren Buffett says, track record is everything. The fact that you've never had a default before, that speaks to the operational capacity.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Anything else you want to add before we kind of wrap it up?
No, again, I really appreciate you having me on. I like talking shop like this, and
Yeah.
I hope whoever sees it finds value in it. And I'm always here to, talk shop with anybody or answer anyone's questions about private lending opportunities, or, anything related to real estate. So,
Yeah, I think that's what I appreciated the most. You're pretty open, honest, forthcoming, Like I asked you some tough questions and you're like, yeah, these are the numbers. So, usually you can, I mean, if somebody's trying to hide something, you can you're like, okay, you didn't answer my question. So what's going on there?
yeah, I mean, like, if somebody takes it, I mean, obviously we have other things going on as well, but I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like, there's enough out there for everybody. And
Yeah.
um, it really just comes down to taking action, honestly.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I think I just like geeking out on this stuff too. Just like money, investing, real estate. So I
Yeah.
have a lot of family members that are in the hotel and farms and all. So they're doing projects. So, I'm doing my little rental properties here or there, but I like talking about these things too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate you coming on and talking shop, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Yeah, man. Let's definitely stay connected.
Yeah, yeah. Keep up the good work. I've been seeing your stuff on Facebook, like your transformation from last year to this year. That photo was really nice, you know?
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got into fitness like 2 years ago.
did you?
Uh, Yeah, and it's good. I feel, when it's been outside of real estate, what I'm like most passionate about is you know, the fitness aspect, because it had a big impact on myself, how I look at life, how I've been able to prove to myself I can overcome certain things.
Mhm.
Um, this makes you stronger mentally when you're disciplined in that area. So
Yeah, when I see you, I see a mini David Goggins. So keep up the good work.
thank you. That's who initially got me off the couch and started running.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. That guy's inspiring.
for sure.
So yeah,
So
man, and hopefully you'll talk soon. So appreciate all your time today.
yeah, you too, man.
All right, take care.
All right, have a good one.
Yep, bye.